everyone, and welcome to Meaningful Conversations with Children Blueprint, Vocabulary Basics. My name is Paige, and I'll be your expat educator for the course. Okay, so first I'll share this cartoon to give us a mindset shift. Math can be complex, or in our mindset here, life. And we can laugh when we try to put a simple answer to these things, right? In the cartoon it says, I think you should be more specific here in step 2. Yes, we might need some miracles to be understood or to understand others. And throughout this course, if we just focus on those meaningful relationships in front of us and around us, then, we can start to be more mindful as to what we're talking about and what that means. Relating ideas is a valuable skill because it helps you understand information more deeply, make connections between different topics, and apply knowledge in new situations. Which might seem like a miracle, right? So now I'll tweak that word slightly into relational. And I'll share a list of examples, and you can think about that in a conversation setting. Relational thinking, relational asking, relational perceiving, relational feeling and sensing, relational curiosity and openness, relational synergies, relational capacities, and emotional relations. One big takeaway from this course is that relating happens in meaningful conversations and in a lot of different ways. In this next slide, let's think about the question, how was your day? We can think, yeah, I went to school, yeah, I learned, yeah, I can tell you the subject, but the meaning of it gets a little dull after a while. Maybe we can relate to that. This bottom picture of life is that it's all mixed together. So be mindful of this throughout your meaningful conversations with your children or students, because sometimes life seems kind of boxy, and through these meaningful conversations, we'll see how they can start to liven up and intersect with different ideas. We'll be building that muscle of relating, like I've said. So another big takeaway is that what we learn can directly or indirectly blend into life. How we learn, why we learn, where we learn, you get the idea. Okay, so here's the table of contents. I'm not going to go too heavily into this, but I'll share the structure and give a heads up about the learning environment. Each chapter will have 5 parts. 3 parts elaborating on the topic with teaching videos, PDFs, and links. 1 part with the Common Core State Standards, which if you aren't from the US, just think about this like developmental checkpoints. And 1 part is application with videos. 1 will be a travel video that I've made from my trips, and the other will be of someone somewhere in the world to practice. Self-reflection and application along the way will be beneficial. But I want to give a more immersive environment of the stimulation that children have, with screen time and also with just so much information constantly. There's a lot to pay attention to. We are finding a new way of learning, so just be open to the idea of learning in a new way, even if it's not easy at first. Next, I'll touch on the Common Core State Standards. When you hear me list the standards, try to remain present and apply them in examples. So just as a quick example of what I mean by that, if there's a video of people talking in the background and you hear a standard about introducing a topic, then you could think about introducing a friend to somebody, or you could think about introducing your idea to a coworker, or you could talk about introducing a trip plan with your partner, okay? You bring something up, right? You're introducing something. And so this will get easier the more that you practice and the more that you're a bit more open to applying these standards. But again, I hope we don't get too wrapped up in the academic curriculum part of it. Of course, this is all from academics, but when we see the relatability, just as we think about the life in the paint picture, that it all starts to blend together. So I will support you in being intentional through those moments. That's our goal with educating children too. We're supporting them to connect ideas. The complexity is something that we'll be keeping an eye on throughout this course. And then the growth of comprehension is truly how much are we paying attention? Are we absorbing? Are we understanding? And just preparing us for having more dynamic interactions. We really need to think about this as we're not just talking to people in person. We also have digital access in so many different ways. We are evolving, we are adapting to what's being created. So just be open to the idea of conversations going in different ways. I'm really just trying to expand your awareness and capacity to dive deeper, and I'm excited to do that with you. Hopefully you're starting to see how curriculum has potential to sneak in conversation. You'll be getting more examples and support throughout the course. Remember, having meaningful conversations is not something that gets done in one conversation, or in a day, or in a year. It's a concept that will need to continue as we age. Let's get started.